The human brain. It serves as a complex roadmap of the world we experience. It gives directions to our thoughts and perceptions so we arrive at our destination safely and efficiently. But people with neurological brain disorders like schizophrenia or manic depression have been given a map with roads that don't meet where they should, bridges that are missing, and routes that lead to nowhere. If you met a fellow traveler misguided by his map, would you judge him and leave him stranded, or would you get out your map and help him find his way?
Joe Tyler, you erasing the stigma. Get it, Joe.
Hi there, I'm Joe Tyler. Are you stressed out, wigged out, freaked out, feeling anxious, angry, or depressed? Today here on Erasing the Stigma we have Rachel Fleet, who is going to talk with us today on Erasing the Stigma about once again, people with mental illnesses who enrich our lives. And she's been around for a while, and so she knows some really cool facts about many of the people on this poster. Who comes to your mind once again?
Well, of course, Abraham Lincoln. You know, of late, it's only been about 10 or 15 years, I think, that we've known that he suffered from extreme depression. Winston Churchill went through World War II, and everything else in his life was something he called his black dog. And he would medicate himself with brandy, lots and lots of brandy, which often I think is another self-medication technique. Kurt Cobain, of course.
I medicate with birds myself.
With birds?
I medicate with birds.
Oh, if only everybody would.
Unconditional love. And Kurt Cobain? Do you know who Kurt Cobain is?
Yeah. I'm not antediluvian. I mean, I've been around for a while. Well, most of all, I know Sylvia Plath, who went to the same college I did, and of course she was very successful in college, and she got a prize and went to New York and worked for a magazine, and she wrote then a book called The Bell Jar about her illness, and that became a bestseller, and then she went to England and married another poet. She was a very good poet, and she married Ted Hughes, and then she had children and was kind of stuck with the kids and didn't get to write very much, and ended up committing suicide because she felt like, you know, a bell jar, that the air is pumped out of it, and that's the way she felt when she was depressed. And another woman like that is Virginia Woolf, who really suffered tremendously from depression too.
She's on there, Virginia Woolf.
Yeah.
Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf? Who's afraid of the big bad wolf?
Right.
And I interviewed Terry Bradshaw on this very show.
Yes. Oh, right. Yes.
And if you get a chance to see that, that's on our SynCat, www.syncat.org channel station, syncat.org. So if you get a chance to watch that one, and Montel Williams is not on here, but he has some depression going on too as a result of the minuscule swelling of his brain tissue as a result of his secondary relation to his MS. His MS condition.
Really?
So,
I didn't know that.
So let's keep moving along. Is there anybody else you can?
Well, I think of Vincent van Gogh because when my grandson was I'm going to talk about a bit, I guess, in a bit. He was always fascinated with Vincent van Gogh, and it only became, to me, obvious that there was a connection there that interested him, perhaps because Vincent van Gogh had a brain disease, but my grandson never expressed it that way, and I didn't know enough to ask. So
we'll get to your grandson in just a moment. I thought I might bring us up to date a little bit of science. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Because I kid with people and I say, not only am I reading your mind, I'm pages ahead you'll find. With brains to pick, right, Big Moosey? And a psychic sidekick, that's Big Moosey. Yeah. Mental telepathy boggles the mind. Mental telepathy boggles the mind. But on the face of modern science, I am a brain scan ahead. Because I had a brain scan at the National Institute for Mental Health back in Bethesda, Maryland, on the East Coast, and they could actually, while I was sitting there in the tube, I had my channel changer in my hand. I'm just kidding, but I was sitting there in the tube, and they were going whoop, 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 and they actually could tell whether I was looking at a smiling face or a frowning face.
That's so interesting.
They could tell that whether I was looking at an angry face or a happy face. And they did this same test with my sister, and my sister, interestingly enough, struggled with some of the same aspects of her, with some of the same tasks that we had to do there in the tube, roop, 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 that I did, because they say that sibling brains are so much alike. Even though my sister's never had any illness. She's never had to take a medication for her illness. She has a back problem, but she's never had to take anything for a mental health issue. But hence, as I said in the article here, that Mona Lisa smile might be an indubitable imagination, because as the song goes, it's just my imagination once again. I don't sing very well, but just my imagination run away with me again. And so anyway, let's go ahead and move along and get into Rachel's intro here. Today, here at the Sierra Nevada Community Access Television Station studios here, we have a grandmother. We're here with a grandmother who is indeed a unique individual in that she cares for our grandson enough to have taken our NAMI family-to-family education course for families with mental illnesses. Rachel Fleet. I say, for some families, mental illness just runs in families. And for some families, it gallops, if you catch my drift. And Rachel has taken the galloping horse by the reins, and how helpful has it been for you, and how helpful has NAMI been for you?
It's been terrific, really. I have went to a number of the family nights at the hospital when people can get together and talk about what's going on in their lives. And I began to borrow books, because you've got a great library there. And then I realized that there was so much I didn't know that I really needed to do the family-to-family course, and it's been invaluable. I realize that I'm just touching the beginnings, the hem of the garment, so to speak, with it. There's so much to know, and it's not a quick fix. It's going to be a marathon and not a sprint, as far as learning how to help my family member who has a really severe brain disease.
Let's see now.
And I've learned, too, that it's very, very important for families to take care of themselves, the individuals.
Okay. And I want to get to that, too, but what parts of your family, I mean, I said it ran in some families. I have a great uncle who has schizophrenia, and my mother had some alcoholism. My father had alcoholism on his side of the family. And the combination of those kinds of things congealed to make it so that my illness was very severe.
Yeah.
Which, with the combination of drugs and alcohol and bad childhood and a lot of tough family history issues, made it tough. But what kinds of stuff in your family?
Well, I don't know an awful lot back very far, because my mother and father came from generations that they dealt with all of these issues by not talking about it. So I don't really know what the roots. My father was a high-functioning alcoholic, and my brother has. I don't think it was. I was told by a psychiatrist whom both of us saw at one time that he had never been diagnosed, but he would go on fugues, which is a manic episode. He would have those
fugues.
Often.
I haven't heard of fugues.
You haven't heard of fugues? It's a flight of taking off and
a flight of.
Yeah, and actually he would take off and fly. He would rent an airplane from somebody and have and act like be very grandiose.
Now you're getting me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting to me
and
now.
He would spend just thousands of dollars and have a wonderful time, and then he'd crash back to earth. So that went on, and he was hospitalized. He's also a recovering alcoholic. I know that we had strange things going on in my father's family, but that were never talked about. Probably some mental retardation.
My dad said, or my mother said, she said, your side of the family, Anne, is really or your side of the family, Brent, is really boring, because they had no brain disorders and that sort of thing.
Right.
So she was trying to make fun of it.
Yeah.
You know, but nevertheless, you know, there's a lot of craziness, and it does run in families a lot.
Yeah.
But now Starbuck is your chief interest.
Yes.
However, you're taking. So tell us, kind of walk us through Starbuck, and allow me to get in and ask you a couple questions and stuff while you're going through some of the stuff. Because you start with, if you could start with the stuff, because as we talked on the phone, you started with the stuff where you said that he was, how can I say this, kind of a unusual kid in as early as high school and stuff.
Yeah. He would, from time to time, he would come and live with me. His mother had problems with alcoholism and other issues that went on, so from time to time he would come and live with me. And he always had a different way of doing things, which has led, people just call him ornery. He didn't like, at first he was very good with computers. He has a tremendous ability with mathematics, a real high level of being able to mentally function with very complicated subjects. But he never was able to stick with anything much. And I can remember when he was, maybe 16, 17 years old, he used to say, I have to go play volleyball. I have to do it. I can't stand it if I don't. And I just thought this was just the growing up process. When he was about 16, his father came to take him on. His father rarely spent any time with him, and I thought, this is wonderful. They're going to go on a road trip. Well, his father's a pothead, so he spent the whole road trip loaded. 15-year-old kid, and they have made a connection. I think some people claim there's a connection between the onset of schizophrenia and
I could interject at this point that I do know that scientific evidence proves that people who have the propensity for gene problems, because part of the brain is what part of the old noggin, get to the part of the old noggin that synthesizes and does all the stuff with our thoughts and with our hearing center and our speech center interrelate so closely, and so that part of the brain is confused by pot sometimes, in some individuals more than others. And that's what they're saying, that now there's even a test, I understand, I haven't seen it out yet, but there's supposed to be a test so that you know that if you have the propensity to have a problem when you smoke pot, that you shouldn't do it. One doctor even says, man, you should do heroin instead of pot, because it's that, I mean, I'm not kidding you, but so.
Well, he would.
He, at age 15, which is a very formative kind of a time, when brain cell pruning, as we talked to Dr. Viner, brain cell pruning occurs anyway, and pruning can be very detrimental in some cases to your understanding center. So.
And we think his dad gave him, we're pretty sure his dad gave him LSD at that time, too.
Yeah, so a combination of those two.
And he definitely began to become a little bit different, more different from, he had a lot of friends in high school. They went on to become very successful and to marry and to get college degrees and so forth and so on. And he was not able to hold jobs. He had a habit. He thought he was helping the world by twirling around in a sort of a dancing movement. He would go down the sidewalk and say, I'm influencing. And you couldn't talk to him. You couldn't say that doesn't make sense, because it made sense to him. And nothing much else did. He wanted to go to India, and I helped him to get there with a plane ticket. And we had a very small amount of money, like $276 a month, which he then attempted to live on in India, and I think he was probably half starving during that time. He became very ill while in India. He had a psychotic break up in the north of India, where the
and that's I could interject at this point
yes.
too, that Rachel, that we know that when people travel away from home,
yeah.
a lot of times this happens. I was very lucky in that I got to go to Europe when I was in school at the University of Nevada, Reno, and I got to travel away in the Army to Texas and to San Francisco and move places, and it didn't seem to mess me up until I was pounding the pavements driving back between Los Angeles and Reno when I was looking for a big career jump.
Yeah.
And then that's when I flipped out, trying to make that big jump. But sometimes just going away from home, especially as a trip to India, that's around the world. That's a pretty far away trip. So, So.
And he also had typhoid while he was in one of his trips to India. But on the second trip, when he was up in the north and had the psychotic break, his mother got a phone call from the American Embassy saying, "Your son is ill. He's hospitalized in Dharamsala, and the authorities there want you to come and get him." And he was hospitalized then in New Delhi for about 3 weeks. And their way of treating mental illness is very different.
This is interesting too.
Yes.
Talk
they gave him, they let him have, because he likes to draw. His drawings are strange, and I don't know whether his eyesight it looks like his eyesight is not working very well. But he was given drawing implements, pastels and paper and so forth and so on. He was never locked away. He could go out and walk around the grounds if he wanted to, because the grounds of the mental hospital were very pleasant. There was greenery and flowers and so forth and so on, which is a very calming environment. And they treated him very nicely there. He was there long enough so they could stabilize. I'm not sure. They gave him drugs in the hospital in Dharamsala. I'm not sure what they gave him in Delhi, if anything. But he and his mother came back to the United States, and to skip around a bit, that would have been about 6 years ago. He was hospitalized.
And he was about 20...
He was about 22, 23 years old. Yes, he's 30 now, so 7 from that, 23, about 23 years old.
So then he really... Because I think you said he was throwing rocks at cars or something like that.
Yes, and
that's how they picked him up in...
Right, that he was in the traffic and being, and apparently had no sense of cars. He thought they were something else, and that they were some sort of hostile force. And so he was throwing rocks at them, and he had hallucinations about colors. He had real strong reactions to colors. This is a common
one, too, I could point out, because I know friends of mine who have enriched feelings about colors, because part of their brain has been kind of hijacked or whatever, to have, well, Bujo's a beautiful bird, and they have enriched feelings of... In fact, let's give Big Moosey a shot to do his... You want to do your thing, Big Bird? Do you want to do your thing? But go ahead, make poops. Make poops. Go ahead. Poop. Come on, he ain't going to do it. Come on. Okay.
Oh.
Let's see. Let's put him up there. Go ahead, Big Bird. Go ahead. Big Eagle. Big Eagle. See what he can do his thing. Big Eagle. He's a self-starter. Good. Big Eagle. Big Eagle. Big Eagle. Good. Okay, obedient one. Obedient one. Obedient one. Hear him say, "Come here."
Yes.
Come here. That's a big bird talking. Obedient one.
Come here.
Good. Come here, nice
Good
and clear.
Boy.
Okay, and then he goes. Now, you want a trip to Hawaii, Rachel?
Yes, I want a trip to Hawaii.
See if you can tell what he's saying. Sing me what she's. Oh, that was too many syllables, Big Bird. We'll give you credit for it anyway. Sing me what she's saying. Did you understand that song?
No.
Let's try it again. See if we can do it better. He did too many syllables. See if we can do it again. Sing me what she's saying. You are my sunshine.
Oh,
my sunshine.
That's wonderful. You are my sunshine.
You are my sunshine.
You are.
Okay, and then let's see. Did you know this is a big hummingbird? This is a big hummingbird.
Oh.
Hummingbird. Did you know this is a big hummingbird?
Uh-huh.
Good bird. I give him a nut for everything because he likes nuts.
Of course.
And then
he's a humdinger.
when I retire from state government, I'm going to do rest. Right. for another nut, Big Mussy. Okay. George W. Bush is president. No, wait, I got the wrong president. Barack Obama was elected president of the United States. And Barack Obama, what would you salute? Barack Obama's working on health care reform. Barack Obama, here, what would you do? Salute.
Salute. Good boy.
We did talk about health care reform at some point, but that's probably good enough. Good job, Big Bird. That's my Big Bird, and he goes to the hospital to entertain and perform and stuff. He has a good time.
He's very entertaining. Beautiful.
He's a beautiful bird. He's a beautiful bird. I took him recently to a retirement home where he fascinated all the folks at the retirement home. And
yeah. He dances.
So let's get into now your grandson Starbuck.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, was he famous before the coffee firm came into?
He's named actually for an island in the far South Pacific.
Is it Starbuck or Starbuck?
Starbuck.
Starbuck. Starbuck.
Yeah.
Right?
It was also
like the coffee, but he was named after
an island.
Island.
Yeah, his mother was going to go on a trip and found out to that island on a sailing ship and found out she was pregnant, so she named her son for the island she didn't get to go to.
Okay.
So he's sort of her Bali High. You remember that in South Pacific?
Yeah.
Not many people remember that far back.
That was wash that man right out of my hair.
Exactly, right.
Yeah, I don't know why that sticks with you or me or anything except well, anyway, so moving right along. Support groups are a big part of recovery for both alcoholism as well as families with mental illnesses down through the years.
Yes.
What other groups have you found helpful?
Well, I've been going to Al-Anon I went to AA for a while, but I've been recovering from alcoholism since 1985, and I started getting into the deeper issues when I moved down here to Reno, because we've got wonderful 12-step programs here in Reno. They're fabulous, and I'm very grateful that I had that opportunity to learn so much through Al-Anon and adult children of alcoholics, because it helped me to understand the NAMI program much more quickly, I think, by having been to that.
I do, Rachel. We do a 12 principle program. It's not 12 steps, but it's 12 principles. It's a little slightly different, but some of the same things.
Yes.
And we accept humor as being supportive, we accept humor as being healthy.
Right.
We do a lot of things that are probably within the 12-step programs. But we accept that mental illnesses have environmental triggers, which is acceptance of substance abuse maybe at the same time.
Yes.
So we don't say you have to be true brain disorder or true mental illness, because we know that 60% of us fall into both categories.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the way we do it. But so I'm glad you put that in. Now, let's get back to your grandson. He's now, and I wish we had a happy ending. That's what we got to work toward. But
we have some, there's one course, I think it was week before last. We had a sketch of the ideal outcomes that we'd all like to see, and it's very far from where anybody in that class was or is at this point in time. My grandson is at this point in time, as far as we know, on the streets of San Francisco with no money, no regular place to sleep. He sleeps apparently in doorways because it's safer than sleeping in the bushes. because you can be seen in a doorway, you can't be seen in the bushes. So it's a really desperate situation. He's been hospitalized there twice. Unfortunately, it seems that the mayor of San Francisco is helpful to the homeless, but he really dislikes people with mental illness. And so he's cut back on the services. He's cut the number of beds at San Francisco General in half.
That's atrocity. That's a terrible thing.
Well, my grandson, a NAMI person from San Francisco, told me that after they were hospitalized a couple times, they're supposed to be put in the hospital. I mean, that was supposed to be automatic. Well, he's been in twice. The second time, which was last month in October, we had put out the second of 2 missing persons bulletins trying to locate him because it's getting cold, you know, trying to see what we can do for him. And I made the mistake of mentioning to the hospital personnel that I was perhaps thinking about getting a public conservatorship because his family is such. His father is the only one with his house, and his father with a house to live in, which is what he needs, is a place to be, my grandson. And his mother has a room in somebody's house. My house here was sold in a short sale in June, so I don't have a house. And so I mentioned the public conservatorship, and they put him out on the street within 24 hours. They didn't even go through the, mental health review. There's a judge who makes a determination. They didn't even do that the second time. So they gave him a shot of Risperdal. Risperdal, is that?
Consta is probably the one I'm guessing that they gave.
No, it's
Well, it's Risperdal.
It was because they said it was.
Consta if it's a shot.
I don't know which
only one
was.
they can give that's a shot. Well, there's 2 that they can give now, but that's another kind of, it's a Risperdal long-acting. But that's a different one. This one's
if it's expensive, he didn't get it.
Yeah.
So his aunt was able to go down and see him at the hospital, but she didn't know what to do. That's the thing. I'm the only one who's been taking the course, and it's like what I learn is a little bit late behind what's actually happening. So we're making plans of what to do next. Next time that he's found and we can get in there and actually take some steps to try to get things a little bit better for him. He actually has a social worker in Nevada City. He was plugged in there through the help of a friend, and he was put up in a motel and seemed to be, everybody liked him. He's very likable. He's not violent, as far as I know. But then he walked away after 2 days. Went to his dad's in Portland. He hitchhiked and got buses or whatever. He hitchhiked probably likely the whole way up to Portland. And his father didn't like his twitching or something like that. And also, unfortunately, something has happened so his eyes go off in different directions, which is very disturbing. And his father hit him, so he took off again, disappeared, was arrested in Seaside, Oregon, and he had, the way we found out about that all is that he had been given a food card in Nevada City, and it wasn't being used. So he can't hold on to anything. So when they put him out of the hospital with 2 addresses to go to in San Francisco, he's not able to hold on to a piece of paper. So that's the last we've heard of him, was that he was back on the streets there, had been seen. They picked him up in Chinatown. That's all we know at this point in time. Very, very hard on his mother.
It's very hard on the whole family.
Hard on the whole family. I've had the Al-Anon and the NAMI, and it helps me to stabilize.
You to understand, but
yeah.
But it's got to be difficult because you can understand it, and you got to fight the system. And when I went to the family group with you guys, I can hear my heart goes out to you guys because you're trying to fight the system.
Yeah.
And the system does not work for 2/3 of those people with mental health issues.
Yeah. It's sort of a high-tech medieval situation. We're living in a high-tech Middle Ages as far as
I'm just an ordinary person.
Of course, we realize that many people with mental illness end up in elderly care. And that's something I hope that you get your grandson
Who you think I am?
get care because you can get
I'm erasing the stigma of who you
Thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate all you all are doing. NAMI is a great...
I'm just an ordinary person.